they get back into it. Speaking of getting back into it, let's roll pick and ban and see how many adjustments can be made, because I'm looking at the must-ban list, and it kind of contains all the names that we saw in game number 1.
And also now Griffin have so much more flexibility on their side of the bans as well, and we said that it was going to be a lot more difficult for them on the red side, and already it's the targeted bans coming through. The Gragas going to be taken away from Gen.G, and Life would have loved to have that in the last game as well, especially playing with the Yasuo in the lane. Yasuo Gragas does feel to be the best Yasuo lane that you can have bottom side.
But what ban can you drop as Gen.G? Because so far, Zoe Galio is rolled back. The Vladimir is an intriguing one to ban against, say, Dumb One Gaming. Against Griffin, you're like, oh, if we leave that one open, we're going to have a bad time. With the fact that it's a flex pick, wait and see if Gen.G make any changes. As Lucian first pick is what Griffin want to do. As Viper says, man, that last game sucked on Cassio.
Yeah.
I want to play an AD carry.
But Lucian is going to be banned away. Ezreal available here. And if Griffin don't pick it up, you can guarantee that Gen.G will be playing it. So that's going to be snapped up. And yes, the Yasuo.
I think Yasuo is definitely something you consider taking again. But Ruler also lost on a non-marksman. And I thought last team fight he didn't necessarily play it optimally, so wait and see what the approach is here. Could also mean some more shenanigans going on with the Frostmancy bot lane from Viper, because it is that Ezreal who can uniquely use the stats well. Gen.G, how do they approach this draft? They're going to take away the Jace in the first round here. Potentially going to be a Roach pick, but we'll wait and see what they fully commit to.
Oh, no, don't do it. Don't run it back again. We saw this in the King's Zone versus SKT series. Every single game, Kai'Sa versus Ezreal. Every single game, 13-minute turret destruction. Oh no, well, we'll see whether Gen.G have some plans here. Of course, Ruler a very different beast when it comes to the Kai'Sa. Certainly one of our most storied Kai'Sa players here in the LCK, but not recently.
I have a bit more time for Kai'Sa than I did at the start of last week, purely because the builds are being explored a bit more reliably. We're seeing double pickaxe BF, so we saw play the Ruin King double pickaxe from Viper. So there's different builds here to try to work out different situations, and asking AD carries, they're still kind of at a loss as to what the best way to go is. So there can definitely be an approach here to trim waves, but we'll zoom in on that later in game number 2. And for now, pick and ban, Urgot available, and with Sion taking some noticeable nerfs, it feels like just blind pick Urgot and be fine. For the top side is pretty much the reliable choice. See what Griffin wants to pair this with. Will there be a support first round for Griffin? Seems like the Alistar will be the choice.
All right, so Alistar locked in, meaning that Gen.G get a little bit blocked from picking the Yasuo if they would like it. However, it's not going to be going towards the bottom side. And our Life's champion pool pretty much smashed at this stage.
Kind of Braum or you're not feeling so good is kind of how you look at the remaining picks here. The Thresh also is a pick for other people, but we've seen Life not find value out of Thresh so far this season. He has been, I believe, his effective champion pool is 2 champions only. It's just the Gragas and the Braum, so...
Yeah, but Gen.G haven't been doing a whole lot of winning, so it doesn't tell you as much about them if you have a look at the win rates, things like that. So Gen.G certainly with some options now, as the Nocturne going to be the first ban here in the second round of bans for Gen.G. Tarzan not really caring too much about any hit to the jungle pool.
I think if you're Griffin, you ban Lissandra, and then give Gen.G a real pickle, because I think Peanut wants jungle counter pick.
Yep.
And right now, Fly hasn't been able to really justify final overall pick because his form has been so down. And outside of Lissandra and maybe Zoe, both of those are taken off. There's really not too much left on the board. So how Gen.G approach red side here is going to be really intriguing.
Wow,
and they see one siding of the Sylas, and they've had enough.
Yeah, well, Chovy was very, very good on that particular pickup. And maybe Gen.G want to pick up some pretty... high-powered ultimates as well. I mean, you like the idea of picking Sylas into a Lissandra, for example. Frozen Tomb, very strong. Being utilized in the backline from the good old Sylas. So, Griffin, do they stick on the jungle hype train with their bans? I mean, Lee Sin could come in here if they want to make Peanut's life a little bit worse, but Lissandra going to be the ban here. Gen.G showing their hand a little bit with the last ban.
Given Gen.G and Fly not showing enough, and the jungle counterpick potentially ruining some of the early tempo from Tarzan, I actually really like the Lissandra. It's the only pick you see Fly locking in at this point, but okay, well, this could play out reliably. Now, the reliability is down. The Xin Zhao's taken for power, but definitely is powered down, and we could see a Jax response, we could see a Sejuani response and just try to be a tank jungler and disengage. A lot of different ways that Griffin can approach this. The Skarner has been played recently, and it's going to be played again, an old favorite of Tarzan's. If you remember, we coined the Griffin special as the famous Skarner ult into Thresh Lantern, and while they're star-crossed lovers in this game, Tarzan in Challengers was playing a whole lot of the Skarner way back in 2018 spring.
Yeah, and we actually saw it from Spirit last time out, but it wasn't exactly the greatest performance that we saw. Is okay, Chovy going to be back on the LeBlanc, but it's a blind pick, and what does Fly have to answer it?
Not Lissandra.
Damn right.
This is a really strong spot to take LeBlanc, because you think of Fly and you say, what is there that he can try to match this lane with? Sion, he's played and could try, but you're really gritting your teeth and bearing it. What is he feeling strong enough to play? Zed has been played by Nuke Duck. Aurelion Sol is a tricky lane, that's for sure, but he wants to bail out, get out as fast as possible, and push in LeBlanc, and you know what? Best of luck to him.
Yeah, I mean, if Chovy could do what he did the last game to the Aurelion Sol on a Sylas, I think that things only get worse. This time around, as we'll see whether these summoner spells are going to stay the same as well. I mean, taking the Ignite into the LeBlanc lane sounds pretty scary.
Let's adjust something. Remember, it was Aurelion Sol with losing side lanes. Now you've got winning side lane top, winning jungle matchup.
Yeah.
And also, your jungler isn't a level 6 jungler. The most famous Aurelion Sol I remember was RNG playing Aurelion Sol and Nidalee jungle when it's at strongest point, and from level 2, level 3, you're pouncing, you're killing the side lanes, MLXG is popping off. You got the same sort of priority with Xin Zhao, and Aurelion Sol wants to push in LeBlanc early, or maybe just give up a minion wave and find advantages side lane. You cannot be cooped up mid lane like you were in game number 1. If you see Fly stuck under mid lane turret, it's just going to be a loss for Gen.G.
Yeah, and also Chovy's probably going to go for solo kills a whole lot more often on the LeBlanc rather than on the Sylas. So bailing out of the lane is a great way to not die. If you're not there, you can't die there. I mean, that makes a whole lot of sense to me. Tarzan will see whether he can actually power farm through his jungle in the earlier levels, because we know that Spirit had a terrible time on the Skarner in his last outing. But remember, this is Griffin, and now it's Viper on the Ezreal instead of on the Cassiopeia. No Yasuo's in sight, and it's Kai'Sa to try and contend with the powerhouse bottom lane.
Aurelion Sol and Xin Zhao, but more importantly, Fly and Peanut. The people, the duo that has underperformed so heavily since Kesper Cup. This is the magnifying glass completely on mid-jungle from Gen.G.
Yeah, and we want to see the Peanut and Fly that were able to oust Sandbox so incredibly easily in the Kesper Cup. Let's hear from the fans, though, as we get into Game 2. Well, here we go. Griffin, 18-1 is the dream in the first round robin. They have to win this game in order to achieve it. Is a bit of a meme off at the moment, but Ruler might find himself in trouble. That's the flash from Chovy. They want to lock this one down, but it's not going to happen. And that's a very early flash.
I gotta say, our observer trolled us there. That was a really hard one to judge because of the full zoom, so shame on you, lead observer. I know your name. I do queue with you sometimes. I'll be talking to you later.
Yeah, let's we could shout him out and shame him on broadcast if we want to.
We will say the trade-up of flashes here is less impactful on Chovy outside of a cheese level 2 gank from Xin Zhao, because he will get, of course, an escape at level 2 and be fine with the distortion. He also skilled E level 1, which doesn't really help with the minion waves. This actually does Aurelion Sol a pretty big solid in the mid lane to get that Dark Seal first back and get Roman. And it's all going to be about the roaming from Fly. Otherwise, we like a lot of what Griffin has going on.
Yeah, exactly right. And with the Celestial expansion from Fly as well, I mean, he's got all the wave clear he wants in this early stage. So Chovy going to find himself shoved in for a long time, trying to deal with these minions that can be pesky with only a chain to help you farm things out. Bottom side of the map, though, Viper and Lehens will have a huge advantage. With no flash on Ruler, will Tarzan be able to navigate this one? Has he been able to get himself in a position where he can get a singular Rift Scuttler? Because Peanut, if he beelines down there, possibly make that one happen.
See where his possible lanes to gank pre-6 are? I think Tarzan will probably want to impact the map earlier than level 6. I think top lane is an underrated gank spot for a Skarner because the flash flip into E hitting, you will get a chase kill on Jace. His base stats are very low, so I think there's actually kill pressure top side for Skarner Urgot.
Yep.
In a gank to there. Otherwise, of course, we know he's heavily outclassed by Xin Zhao, and especially Xin Zhao, Aurelion Sol. As a duo, pushing's happening in mid. Roaming has to start early, but at least for early game, the bot lane push is going to be for Griffin. They need this one, given the other lanes.
Yeah, and absolutely given the vertical jungling that's going to come in from the Skarner as well. Doesn't want to get 3-buffed. It's a lot of damage actually being taken here by Fly, but he's offering a lot back this time. Will need to go Commoner Legend his way back from base pretty soon because he's running out of mana, but standing his own here in the mid lane against the LeBlanc.
Very, very standard Aurelion Sol gameplay. It's very, very non-interactive gameplay for Aurelion Sol in terms of laning phase. If you're trying him at home, I've seen him a couple of times in the LCK. It's a lot about using every inch of mana to get a great back timing and then getting an item lead, doing it again and again. Peanut's top side here, a turret dive with Aurelion Sol is a very straightforward one, but the moment that he dodges top lane, the core comes out and Urgot moves back.
Yeah, not going to be throwing any gigantic stuns into these guys with the Star Surge, so just going to back on out. Fly heads back in to try and clear things out of the mid lane. Farming very nicely here against the LeBlanc this time. Chovy missing a few CS early on means that Fly is going to be able to continue having a bit of an advantage here.
So the only other champion and pro play I've seen that has the same gameplay pattern as Aurelion Sol, the push back, buy an item, come back fast, is Rammus. Rammus top.
Oh, and Hecarim in the mid lane.
True.
Of old.
Rammus top was a thing in Korea for a bit. Mid lane.
Yeah, Chovy going to get ignited here as Peanut comes in. They don't know which one's quite the right one. Chovy's going to survive for the moment, but of course didn't have flash. Still doesn't. A return visit here from Peanut definitely available.
Didn't get cannon though. That was
oh, feels bad.
Bit of a squeaky one there. I was watching it. I was like, oh, come on, but doesn't get the cannon to let it down a little bit. Getting things out of Chovy is good because there's no priority for Chovy in this lane after the level 1 flash. Bot lane.
Yeah, really nice hook there as Lehens tries to keep him honest. Life is going to get stunned up though from the passive there by Lehens, and that means that the trade is pretty nice for Griffin.
Still, this game state so far, we are seeing some pressure being put down by Gen.G, even in this duo lane that has been priority to Griffin. The hook comes in, some aggression is being shown. How much close tabs can be paid to Aurelion Sol? I guess the Spires will be interesting to track. That's a bit more information as well. May want to navigate around those on a roam timing. Boots 1 complete. We'll see if it does end up being just a rush on the Merc treads, as you would expect. In the mid lane, Roach, with all that pressure that we saw earlier, is getting the push, but no turret plates just yet.
And also, Sword's life is just going to be terrible, because topside control is certainly there on the side of Gen.G, so that's exactly where Peanut is going to be hanging around. So Sword has to spend most of his time doing this, trying to get as much experience as he can and survive the lane to the best of his ability. And so far, 12 CS is not exactly a huge deal and a big problem for the Urgot, who's going to be able to pick up most of this wave as it comes towards him.
Peanut can live up to his old nickname, the Battle Ward, as we always used to call him back in 2016 on the Rocks Tigers. Then I agree that Sword really has nothing he can do, because if Roach has eyes on the enemy jungler, then he has no threat on him at all. He is in a wonderful spot to just put down, turret plate after turret plate. Aurelion Sol just darts out of the lane towards the top side, and you're so afraid of a roam timing and also potential Xin Zhao gank, and turret plates should just roll in. That is the gameplay that you want to see. However, if Skarner is unsighted, we already mentioned there are some windows where an all-in onto the Jace can happen, so that's the last thing we want here, the last piece of the puzzle to allow Roach to just keep opening up a CS lead after being on the receiving end of this gameplay in game number 1.
Well, now at least Griffin do have a little bit of respite here, especially on the top side as Tarzan only level 4, but thinking about going for a gank, a lane gank here against Roach. Not going to happen. Blast Cone available for Tarzan, but Roach is getting his roam on. Troll Ward does go down, as now Roach could be in trouble.
Oh, Lehens is here.
Yep, Lehens going to come up. There's going to be the Pulverize, and they really do need that Urgot to make his way down. But Tarzan already doing so much damage. Special delivery! And Sword grabs the kill. Into the grinder goes the Jason. First blood to the Urgot is a disaster for Gen.G.
The minimap tells the story, Atlas. On the screen, you're like, okay, they're taking a while for this, but when Lehens shows up, it all clicks into life, and goodbye, Roach. A lot undone there. He doesn't flash, so he can return to the same gameplay, but a kill and extra items to Sword is music to the ears of Griffin fans.
Yeah, and look at this. Sword able to push this wave all the way up. One corrosive charge will clear out the full minion wave, and Roach without teleport can't offer anything back. And now Sword, with an experience advantage and the ignite in this lane, is going to be able to stand so much further up. Lehens still getting his roam on here as he watches the Crimson Brambleback wander into the brush, knowing that Gen.G will be around.
Urgot's in base, of course, the block nowhere near. So good invade timing, and Gen.G need to keep this up. We already said mid-jungle, in this case support jungle, you need to be on the aggression. Roach saw the control ward go down. He's like, it's just a Skarner. I should be fine. Aurelion Sol has pressure mid lane. That's why he doesn't react. But unfortunately for him, Lehens is ahead of the play here. And it's Lehens' excellent roam timing here that gift wraps first blood to Sword.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful stuff. Coming in from Griffin. We've come to expect it. 1,000 gold now the lead from this Griffin squad. And they just seem to have a plan of navigating what their comp's weaknesses are so nicely in the early stages of the game. They play around exactly where they need to in order to mitigate issues that they might have in the game. Gen.G unable to mirror it, and now an Impale is available. And when we saw Spirit playing the Skarner, I believe we saw one Impale actually utilized.
It was kind of an overkill kind of bot lane fiesta where that picked up a kill.
It was a 1-for-1 actually, it just didn't even work for the Skarner. It was bad news bears scenario, of course it was against Griffin. As Fly taking a lot of damage here, not going to have a lot of mana to offer anything back. I don't even think Voice of Light was available to be used because of the amount of mana that he had, but Chovy just going to put the screws in.
And what do you build? Do you build Catalyst Spectre's Cowl? Do you build slow... You want a Banshee Veil now, but of course it builds so awfully on the way with just a little Negatron Cloak.
Yeah.
A No Magic Mantle, I should say, that you don't feel great about that. And those trades are rinse and repeat more and more often as level 11 and level 16 are crested. So you got to start roaming, and right now the roaming that we were calling for so heavily hasn't happened from Fly in spite of the flash lead at the start of the game. Watching Gen.G continue their aggression. Aurelion Sol ain't joining. Control Ward will spot him along the way. So it just feels a lot more toothless than perhaps it should at this juncture of the game.
Yeah. You can see Peanut now just going to transition. They want to try and get Chovy here as the chain lands onto Fly. Voice of Light, good combo. Nice stun comes out as well, but the Mimic Distortion still available. Chovy nowhere near has to use his flash.
It's just not a percentage play, right? He has flash up. He's close to his turret. No way a flash all-in from Xin Zhao is going to do a random 500 damage. So they get away from it. It looks a bit toothless, Atlas. I'm starting to get a bit concerned for the side of Gen.G, even if the draft had a pretty clear win condition. Roach continues to push, but already his aggressive streak has been dulled a bit. And
I mean, it's ridiculous. Look at where Sword's position is now. It's the opposite story. Top side of the map, and that's one gank, one movement from Lehens, and they shore up a massive weakness in this composition.
It's one of those games where if you tell me that a team that has a top side of Aurelion Sol, Xin Zhao, Jace against Urgot, Skarner, LeBlanc loses Rift Herald, I can't imagine a game where Gen.G wins. Just because you have everything on the top side. You've literally got the biggest knives possible against butter knives, and yet the butter knives might get the major objective on the top side of the map.
Yep, exactly. I feel like it's even spoons. It's not even butter knives. Yeah, it's not even.
I see you played Knifey Spoony before then.
Look, this is the way that you play Knifey Spoony, Papa Smithy, and unfortunately, if you're a Gen.G fan, it's not exactly the cheat sheet that you were looking for. That is going to be Shelly going down into this Rift Scuttler as well that Tarzan prepared earlier. All too easy. Clown Drake is what LS would call this one. As Peanut's going to get the consolation prize. But getting a consolation prize with this composition is just not good enough.
No. And like you say, it's not the consolation prize you're looking for. LS would call it a Clown Drake. And it helps Fly roam.
Yeah.
But again, I feel like we're saying roam a lot and not seeing roam. No. So it almost feels like it's not worth saying.
Well, I mean, we're saying roam a lot, and that's because Lehens got a successful roam.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's got a lot further to go, this cow on walkabout.
I definitely had some choice words for him on his Alster game I casted last, where he had some interesting headbutt pulverizers, but his map presence was great.
And he had one flash pole where he got aiming out of position that was absolutely beautiful.
And in this game, his roams have been just as good, maybe better, and he's got the mechanics on point. So
yeah,
just
and he's
all
not
coming together.
Yeah.
He's looking to steal away that 6 MVPs in a row streak that Chovy's looking for. Speaking of streaks, Tarzan rolls in, and he wants to use his ult.
Yep, and he's got a flash. He's going to be able to get the Chilling Smite, and once the flash is down, it's all too easy. The ultimate to start it up, Disdain to go into it. There's so much CC, and that gank is so incredibly strong. Urgot Skarner hadn't thought about it, but on paper it looks disgusting, and in practice, about the same.
And you watch the mini-map, I'm like, okay, how's Aurelion Sol going to react? He starts walking down, he doesn't really have the vision to make a play. There's no turret dive available, so he just kind of mills around mid lane and returns to it. Gen.G get a bit of chip damage on Lehens. Can they steal a Krug? Can they find anything?
They got a turret plate, Papa Smithy.
Yeah.
That's what they did. They got all of the turret plates top lane, though. They've got one in mid, one in bot lane. And Griffin, as far as global gold, are over 3,000 gold ahead with only 2-0 in the scoreline. And they lost one of the dragons. So Griffin, once again, it's one of those early games where all of a sudden you look at the gold and it's a huge problem for Gen.G.
It's no outplay to Chilling Smite. Roach flashes after Chilling Smite. He kind of had to flash first and he would have died anyway.
Yep.
Instead, goes into the death chamber. Second death of the game. This one with a lot more assistance from Tarzan. All on the top side of the map. They got the top turret in the Jace lane. And when Jace is rotating around and taking down turret plates pre-14 minutes, he gets a huge gold lead and he can be a big handful. When you take his turret first, he's usually the opposite of a handful. Well, he's, you know, kind of a free kill.
Exactly. And there's almost a Righteous Glory on top of Sword's Black Cleaver that he already has built up, and Roach only has the Black Cleaver and some free-ass boots. I mean, it's not the brown bags that you're looking for. On the side of Roach, unfortunately, just Jace on Welfare feels like a very different story to almost any other champion on Welfare coming from the top side of the map in the current meta. I mean, if Sword was behind, at least he still have an AoE fear available and some tankiness, but Jace really not going to be offering too much as Sword standing underneath his own turret.
He just has no reason to go anywhere near where the brush camp is happening. But you're so afraid for Gen.G here. They don't have the light at the end of the tunnel that was the Yasuo teamfights in game number 1. They've got a roaming comp that's very strong early. They're behind early. If Griffin get control wards down, how do you ever walk up? Ever.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's insane pick power. Skarner is the epitome of a pick champion. Shout out to Captain Flowers, your favorite champion's probably going to win this game. And from there, Alistair LeBlanc, oh god, is single target deletion. LeBlanc's going to hit the side lane, and Aurelion Sol doesn't want to be clearing waves at his inner turret at 14 minutes.
With a 0-stack Rod of Ages that he just went and got from the shop.
Banshee Veil a long way away.
Yeah, it's not a very helpful situation as there's a headbutt pole of Lehens once again pays a visit, and he looks like he's certainly vying for that MVP spot, but Peanut does escape. Taking the Lantern right out, and I thought that there was no way he was going to survive that one. As now Ruler, an opportunity to ult, but isn't going to dive into a full health Viper.
No summoners other than the heal from Ruler used there. It's topside.
Chovy does have the flash available, and the Q's not quite enough. So the turret shot is going to tag him. Thought he might have been able to flash that distortion over, but doesn't want to go too deep.
Turns out Old Ignite would have killed there, but maybe just no time to thread in that damage.
Yeah.
Not sure how Chovy got so low. I assume some turret shots were relevant in that one.
Zoom sort of what happens, incidental damage against an Aurelion Sol as well, with those comets being pesky.
Viper in the mid lane. Ooh, 2-item Ezreal in the mid lane. Jenner, take notes on this one. He's going to push up. The side lanes are in a great spot. It's getting to be a long map with Skarner and control wards, and the pick power we alluded to will fully be realized before long. Fly pushes up the top side, and how can Gen.G burst back into relevance? Ruler, you always want to talk about Kai'Sa build. It's going to be following from Viper and going for Blade the Ruin King. He wants to throw in another couple of pickaxes to get to level 9 plus 85 AD from items, and thus the Q evolve overall.
Yeah, and I feel like this was the Kai'Sa build that Viper actually started here in the LCK.
That's Viper's. Teddy was the BF Soul double pickaxe.
Yes, and then there was another one that picked up the
Def
Blade
likes
of the
to
Ruin
go,
King as well.
And Def likes to go for the
Essence Reaver.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that one.
Neither. That didn't seem to be.
You got to evolve
very
something
good at all.
early, please.
Yes.
Speaking of evolving, we're trying to evolve a fight here by Gen.G.
Yeah, and also evolve into a second Cloud Drake here as the teleport is going to come down from Sword. Finds his way in as, oh god, Peanut in a whole host of trouble. Can't take the Lantern, but he can take the Fear Beyond Death, and that's so many feared up. As Sword in the backline is going to do so much work, but Fly able to get a lot of work done, and the Ezreal to go down is a huge deal. Lehen's flashing forward, grabs the Thresh, but look at Ruler, he's still alive, and only really has Chovy to contend with. Griffin, they still want it though, the flash forward. Roach is going to be in trouble as Ruler is the one that they need to watch out for. Chovy flashes forward, not going to get too much more, but finally the Aurelion Sol goes down, and Roach cannot find another way into this fight. Lehens is so far away from this team as the Empowered Shock Blast gets rid of Chovy's clone, who dives forward, finds that Q, and now Tarzan comes in. The Disdain comes down, and it's a double kill in the end for the LeBlanc.
League of Legends hard mode by Griffin. They were waiting on the Mimic cooldown for the second time in the team fight, because Viper going down took away a lot of their sustained damage. Chovy able to clean up. He has Mimic again. Hasn't used it just yet. Looking for one rotation. Look, he's 3 levels above the enemy jungler, 5 levels above the Thresh. Sword walks up. They take down the mid lane turret, but not the easiest cleanup for the side of Griffin.
Yeah, and 6,000 gold is now the lead for Griffin, but that fight felt like it was on a knife's edge. It just felt like Ruler didn't quite have the items available to get the fight going in Gen.G's favor.
Because what happens here is the ultimate win for Griffin. They actually get Fear Beyond Death in the perfect spot as he's hooked into range of 3 people with the flash. Unfortunately, watch the bot side. Fly just assassinates Viper, and they have damage concerns. Chovy is here, and he's not level 16. He doesn't have almost no cooldown on the Mimic. So this had to be Griffin working in overdrive and calling the right targets, because damage-wise, they were second to what was left on Gen.G.
Yeah, exactly, and they needed to make sure Ruler was zoned out of this whole fight. Otherwise, if he's free hitting, there is no chance for them. So look at Chovy playing further up, uses that flash aggressively, meaning that Ruler has to stay the hell out of the way, because the cooldowns just aren't long enough for you to play around that when it comes to the LeBlanc play. Chovy dives forward, and unfortunately, once again, a little bit late on the flash is Roach.
Does end up being the extended cleanup there, but it was made to work for their dinner that time, is Griffin. Gold lead now. You already alluded to a couple of times. Starting to balloon. Not quite 10,000, but over 6,500-ish.
Yeah.
It's a gold lead right now. Given that, the item timings are really rolling. High roll on the side of Griffin, and unfortunately, the moment you got 4 swords on Roach at 19 minutes, you know that right now things not coming together for Jace or Gen.G.
Just the wrong swords, I think, Papa Smithy. I think that's what we're going to be talking about when it comes to the Jace. He's really anemic this game. 5 stacks only here for Fly as well, who's got a little bit of a revolver.
I wonder what he's building the revolver into.
Yeah, a dash cannon maybe for Fly.
It's not really an Aurelion Soul item.
Oh,
the
wait.
famous one with GLP for a double
Super Soaker.
So like a tanky build, I guess, on that one, but I guess doesn't give tank stats anymore. The change to it being one of the lost chapter items, so I guess that'll be his CDR item of choice. Seems like a bold stat against LeBlanc.
Yeah. Not exactly the greatest of choices, but we'll see whether Fly can make it work. Of course, he's very used to pressing the button because it was his favorite first item choice on the Aurelion Soul. In other outings, even if it has changed just a little bit now.
You just think of Aurelion Soul plus Catalyst into the GLP, but then that was not the build. It was changed to Rod of Ages when the GLP change came in the kind of 5 or 6 Aurelion Soul games we've seen in the past year or so.
Yep.
Since the mage item rework, which I guess was about 1 year ago now.
Yeah, approximately. Certainly wasn't recent, as Tarzan is going for a Shurelya's item number 2. I like that. He's going to be real fast.
An oldie but a goodie.
Yeah.
On the Skarner. It was actually nerfed because of Vladimir and Skarner, who loved access to that team-wide speed up. Gotta say, I'm looking forward to Turbo Urgot in a team fight with Righteous Glory and the Shurelya's.
Yeah, I mean, if you think this is all about the Skarner, no, it's not. It's all about Sword getting on in there with the most movement speed possible to try and disdain someone back and get that big old fear.
Think of another game where Sion kind of laughs and just slows you down. There isn't really anyone who's not super afraid of Skarner and Urgot waddling in a very linear fashion in front of your face. The moment you see any sort of movement speed, let alone a Predator, you are pretty damn scared as all 5 members of Gen.G.
And the thing you have to talk about that we haven't yet, and it's already been over 20 minutes into this game, is paying the Skarner tax. Ain't no one paid the Skarner tax just yet because Gen.G haven't had enough money in order to do so, and that means Roach is just going to get impaled and destroyed. Doesn't actually have to because Fear Beyond Death is going to be enough, and oh man, when it's funny, oh god, Viper's in trouble. Flashball, last auto is going to do it. Ezreal looking busted in the hands of Griffin as well.
Having your cake and eating it too, getting the free Roach kill and getting that second kill on Ruler, who ends up just kind of being a voyeur, being front row seat for a nice turret dive and dying on the back end.
Front row seat for his own funeral, Papa Smithy.
Bit of bird watching there from Ruler. That means he goes down. Gen.G have lost this map completely. We already knew that would be bad. Maybe they'll get a kill here.
Nice hook in to come down there as Tarzan wants to get his flash in position. Not going to find it. Voice of Light does finish off the Skarner. As Griffin will ignore that fact and just move on to this inner turret. Feels like the Skarner's done his job by falling just there.
This should be the end of the record-breaking first-round robin for Griffin. They're too far ahead now. It's 10,000 gold at 22 minutes.
Hey, the GLP has been built up though now.
Oh yeah.
There we go. That's going to change your start.
Look, it might make a really hot day out in Sydney or Perth or Melbourne or wherever you are in Australia a little bit more bearable, but a Super Soaker ain't going to do nothing. in this particular game.
And also, I mean, it's not a very warm spring yet, Papa Smithy, here in South Korea.
That's
so
why I'm talking about Australia.
Exactly.
Yeah, not the time to unleash a water cannon. Watching the replay here, Roach has felt this a couple of times. Not really worth play-by-playing. He was going to die, but kind of wondering what Kai'Sa was up to. She takes 2 direct to path. You understand the first thought, but she's not running through a control ward, and then she's dead.
Yeah, very dead. Viper hitting absolutely every button very, very nicely here, as we're going to see in the picture some more things going down in favor of Griffin. Dragon goes down there, but this was where Tarzan makes this sacrifice, but Chovy just destroys the Aurelion Soul all too easily. 302 now, 850 gold is going to be that bounty, but Sword's got a bigger one, 950 on the Urgot. Just huge.
It'll be a 5-game winning streak for Griffin, and they would have traded those 5 wins for going to Worlds. Remember, Kingzone gate kept them from the World Championship in a 3-2 victory. 5 games afterwards, gotten them a Casper Cup victory, and it looks increasingly like it will cement their perfect first-round robin. Baron control being enacted, and remember, Griffin have the epitome of a pick comp and a 10,000 gold lead. The moment that control ward line extends to anywhere near Raptors or enemy red buff, good luck for Gen.G to try to check it.
Yep, and that Shurelius is done here from Tarzan, so he's got 2 buttons that make him go really, really fast. On the Skarner is Lehens.
Speaking of really fast.
Yeah, he's got Moby Boots. He's ready to get in there. Almost has his Righteous Glory as well as Lehens. Does have Flash, so Flash Headbutt Pulse certainly an option here on Darula, but Supercharging is going to get him out of the way. There's the Turbo Skarner into the back line. Too many flashes coming in here as Impale is going to be used onto life. He's destroyed before he can do anything. Chains miss in the back line there from Chovy, but Ruler not going to be so lucky. It's another big one coming in from the Fear Beyond Death, and Peanut dies basically as an afterthought, and now Fly, Voice of Light just yelling to the heavens, to no one, and a triple kill as Sword is definitely stealing the MVP from Chovy for this game.
Chovy able to mimic Distort out of the Voice of Light, the ultimate end of this argument. Not much of an argument posed by the enemy team here. Only Roach is alive, and he's going to get some minions. Might even take an Ezreal ultimate on the back end. Griffin to clean up Baron. They've just been too good for Gen.G on this day as they continue that march to the best ever round-robin score of 18-1.
Well, 14-2 is going to be their scoreline in kills this game. It's over 10,000 gold the lead. It basically is that reality. 18-1, best performance in a round-robin so far in the LCK.
Has there ever been a game where with a straight face you could make an argument, again this is an argument, that the least mobile champion on the side of Griffin is Ezreal? Everyone else is so damn
Oh my
fast.
god, yeah.
And there's a Mimic Distort for even better arcane shifts. So Ezreal for once is the slow poke, the outplay on the back end by Viper, and the rest is
just beautiful
yeah,
stuff.
Beautiful, disgusting. That is the duality of Griffin. They've got their Barons, they're looking to get some more KDA.
And Papa Smithy, do you know what's a really frightening thing is that this is Sword playing the opposite side of the matchup from game number 1, and now he's legendary Urgot 8-0-3 against the 0-4-1 Jace. It's just Griffin with the demonstration of how to play out a game where you've got a Jace Urgot matchup there. Put the Urgot a little bit ahead, and he's actually able just to run over the top of the matchup.
And that's why when people are queuing up to kind of look at Sword as the weak point
link, yeah.
or the person to exploit, you note games like this, and it's against Gen.G. Again, they're not a huge contender team as things stand, but he's really good at taking a bad matchup, and in a good matchup, sometimes he can run away with it. And can you ask for too much more from your top laner?
Yeah.
He gets outclassed in very fringe situations, and he's gotten better at surviving through bad matchups. He has pop-off games as well. A lot to like about all 5 members of Griffin. A lot to like about this game. We're just waiting to see which way they end game number 2.
Yep, and what the KDAs are going to look like towards the end as well as Chovy just explodes live. See you later, mate. It's just a very dead Thresh. Doesn't have a lot of counterplay options to that one, and now it's going to mean the inhibitor on the bottom side going to fall. Mid lane inhibitor turret also going to follow, but Griffin just going to follow minions towards this one. Look at all the cannons just lining up to get rid of these Nexus turrets. Griffin want to get the 18-1 split on the first round robin as Chovy wants to get rid of Fly. He's been annoying on this dragon as Tarzan turboing towards them, and within the timing of the Impale, the Xin Zhao is going to die. Fear Beyond Death finishes him up, and Sword needs so much respect given to him. Chovy darting forward, darting back. That's a big two-man pulverize. His life is just dead as an afterthought. Once again, and Lehens has his ultimate to keep him alive through almost everything. Fly on his fountain is not going to survive, as the Nexus, I felt like, fell in